Hi guys, it is Mrs. McBride, and I want to give you some pointers on shading your Lego drawing with pencil on white paper. Now, the students at school, they are doing theirs on colored paper, or not colored, but toned paper, and they're actually using whites and grays and blacks. I know most of you don't have colored paper, so we're just going to do it on white paper. So I want to show you how to begin doing that. So here is my photograph of my Legos, and I've kind of sketched this one out. And I've also used a little what they call artistic license. I am leaving this hole in the Lego out, and I'm making these two Legos look solid on the top rather than having the little indentations. So feel free to simplify things and use some artistic license. All right, so here's how you want to begin. You're going to have your drawing in front of you and get all your drawing pencils out, knowing that the 2H is the lightest value, will give you the lightest value, and the 6B will give you the darkest value. And within each Lego, this is really important, you want to have a range of values from the white of the paper to pretty much as dark as you can make that 6B go, or the 4B if you choose to use it. So you want to have all those values in every single Lego, regardless of what color it is. Okay, so I would recommend first figuring out where your light source is. In my photograph, the light source is kind of at the upper left, so that's generally how I'm going to shade this, and I'm going to shade everything. You're going to have to use your imagination a little bit. This is just a general guide, you're not going to try to copy it exactly. So what I am going to do is I am going to take and start with kind of my lighter values. So I'm going to start with my H pencil. And you can always go darker, but it's hard to go lighter, so I'm going to start out with like I said, my H pencil. Now, the first thing I need to do is what area is actually going to be the lightest area? What part am I going to leave the white of the paper? And in my opinion, right here, this top plane of the Lego is the lightest, and so is the top of these studs here. So I'm going to leave this white, and I'm going to leave this white, and I'm going to leave this white, okay? And then this is the next darkest value, and then this is darker yet. So I'm going to put a light value on this side. So to do that, I am going to use my H pencil. Now, if you start out with a really sharp pencil, you might want to use the side of it or kind of angle it a little bit, at least till it wears down. Now, like I said, you can always go back and make things darker, but it's a little bit trickier to go in and lighten things up because it kind of smears stuff around. Now, I'm going to go really fast just because I don't want this tutorial to take forever. But you're going to want to take a little bit longer than I'm doing, obviously. Take hours if you need to. So I'm going to lay in just a light value there. Okay. Now, you probably have the blending stumps that I gave you. Those are really nice for once you get your pencil in there. And I'm just going to kind of go in a little bit different direction too. You can use it to blend. You can also, if you don't have those stumps, you can use a tissue wrapped around your finger, or you can use a Q-tip. But what you want to do is you want to try to get it blended the way that you want before you start using tools. But now I'm going to take my Q-tip, and as you can see, it's like really softly blending it in. Get that nice soft gray. Okay? I'm just using my pencil and a Q-tip. Now, one thing that makes something look like it's really angular is having what's called a hard edge here. So I want there to be an abrupt change from white to gray between these two planes. That's what's going to make it look angular. Okay, I said this one was darker. Okay, so now I'm going to choose a slightly different pencil. I'm going to go with my 2B, and I'm not pressing as hard as humanly possible because, like I said, you can always go back and make it darker. But by simply using a softer pencil, the 2B, it's automatically going to kind of give me a darker value. So what I'm going to do is go around the edges and get those laid out and make sure the edge is nice and clean. And then I can take my pencil and make it more solid and not have to worry too much because my edges are already defined. Okay, then I'm going to take my Q-tip again, and I'm going to blend it. And if you go outside of the edge a little bit, that's all right. You can always clean it up with an eraser. And take the time to do that. Don't make it sloppy and just say, oh, well, I guess I went out of the lines. That's how it's going to look. Okay, so there's that. So those angular parts are pretty easy. So we've got highlight, mid-tone, darker tone. Remember, I'm keeping this part white, but what I need to do is look at how on this curved part the values change gradually. So I'm going to go from dark to light, and I'm going to have it happen gradually, and I'm going to use my 2B again. So what I want to do is I'm going to make this edge really dark over here, but not as dark as I could possibly make it. And as I move towards the light source, I'm going to let up on the pressure of my pencil and fade it away. Okay, and you also want, even though you're fading from this direction to this direction, between here and here and here and here, you want a hard edge on it. So it's like you kind of have to do a couple different things at the same time. I'm going to take a clean side now of my Q-tip and blend it in. And I'll be honest with you guys, normally when I'm drawing, I'm not using the Q-tips and stuff that much. But just to kind of save some time, I am using them. Okay, and as you can see, that soft, gradual change from dark to light helps to make that look rounded. Okay, and I can do the same thing over here. Now, I'm not going to do this one right now. I just want to show you a couple more things. Now, you will notice that this shape casts a shadow onto this plane. So the shadow is determined, the shape of the shadow is determined by the shape of the object. So here's how this is going to go. You're going to take your pencil and right along the very bottom here, you can start to make a line where the light is not reaching it. And you're going to kind of create like a dome kind of a shape like that. And you can actually look at the shape of the cast shadows. In your cast shadow, you want it to be like pretty much as dark as you can make it. Okay, so there's my cast shadow. And then over here, maybe you even be able to see it better because I haven't shaded the little nub or whatever it's called. So it's really dark. And obviously it's got to go around the other one, so it doesn't look like it's overlapping it. It's going behind it. And usually cast shadows are really dark right up next to the object and a little bit lighter as they move away, so you could kind of fade your shadow out just a little bit. Okay. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, but this is white and this is white. How do I define this edge right here without just drawing a line? Because you really don't want to have a line. So what you're going to do in that case is you're going to start working with your negative space and you're going to start putting values in there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of my pencils and I'm going to go darker than even this value. And I am going to start to shade in my negative space back in here. And the negative space can change when it needs to. So if it has to be light in one area and dark in another, you can do that. And you can also just kind of fade it out. But by shading in the negative space, you define the edge between dark and light without an outline. And that's really much more realistic because there are not outlines around things, obviously, in the real world. Now, again, you guys, I am going like so ridiculously fast, but I just want to give you the idea of what you want to be thinking about. And I obviously expect you to take more time than this. Keeping this really dark too, so that there's contrast between the planes of the Lego and the background. Now, obviously you want to make this look nice and blended and everything, but that is how you can, again, create an edge of a white surface on a white piece of paper, is by shading in the negative space. Okay, something like that. Now, you can always go back, and I'm actually going to just shade this in while I'm here. You can go back and tweak your drawing. You can make things a little darker. You can take your eraser and pick out some highlights. You know, really work towards having lots of real contrast between dark and light areas. That's what makes a drawing exciting to look at, is that contrast between dark and light, I think. You know, and take the time to clean things up. If you're having trouble, like when you're brushing away your eraser pieces, you can always take a little paintbrush. I'm going to use my scarf, actually, and just brush it away, okay? All right, so I would continue, if this was my actual project, I would continue tweaking it. Maybe I'm going to go back and make this area a little bit darker, and just, you know, making it the best it can possibly be. All right, so those are some helpful hints, and I hope you enjoy working on your Lego drawing. So there it is in regular pencil, and there it is with black and white and gray. Okay, let me know if you have questions, shoot me an email, or send me a message in Schoology. Thanks.